What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Scratch Agency Podcast, hosted by Scratch Agents for Scratch Agents. This episode is brought to you by Virtual Intelligence, your premier partner for client-facing and back-office virtual employees. My name is Stephen Turnbull, founder of T5 Insurance, based out of Clinton, New York, and I'm joined by my co-host today, the one and only, you already know, hold your applause, Mr. Shaw Fitzgerald, owner of Sound Harbor Insurance. Mr. Fitzgerald, good to see you, my friend.
It is. It feels like we haven't done this in a while.
It's because we haven't done this in a while. That's probably why. I'm sure all you loyal listeners out there have been, where the hell are these guys, knocking on the doors? We've been off for a few weeks. We've got this little thing called agencies to run that sometimes makes this a little challenging, but I think it's the first time in how many episodes? 100 and
I don't know, over 110.
20.
Yeah, 20.
120
30.
and change that we have missed a week. And so we apologize for that. But listen, we're just doing the damn thing. So if you have a problem with it, oh well. That's what I have to say, especially after today.
Yeah. There's plenty of insurance podcasts to fill in the gap.
But listen, we just we've been busy. We both went on vacations at the same time. Agencies are busier than hell.
That's it.
And sometimes you have a surprise visitor for lunch.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Which I came across today.
Someone flew in to see you.
Our good friend, Mr. Donald Champagne, who is on your mastermind with Sean, but also in the Scratch Pod community and been on the show 2 or 3 times, maybe, if not 2 times, surprised me for lunch. 2 times.
Right.
He surprised me for lunch. He flew from Michigan to New York to have lunch and is flying back as we speak.
That's incredible.
And I think it's just pretty cool. My wife set it all up. Jasmine here at the office helped facilitate setting it all up. And my wife said, "Hey, this date, this time, we're going to lunch. Don't ask questions." And I was like, "Oh, say less. That sounds great." And then as we got closer, I'm like, "What are we doing?" "Oh, I can't tell you. Okay. And then I was walking there and she said, "I'll be waiting outside." And I said, "Okay." And so I'm standing outside of this lunch spot awkwardly by myself, like, "Where are you?" She's like, "Oh, a special guest will be there." I'm like, "Huh?" And out walks Donald Champagne in Clinton, New York.
Crazy.
And I was like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, I thought I'd swing by for lunch." 2 times. So that was pretty wild because that literally just happened as we're recording it, which is why I wanted to share the story. But I think that just attributes the friendships and the amazing people that are in this industry.
For sure.
He literally landed in Syracuse at 11 o'clock, got to the restaurant at noon. We had lunch, and he's 4 o'clock right now on his way back to the airport to fly home. So
That's awesome.
we had a great conversation. He stopped in the agency affair a little bit. And
You had some good food?
Yeah.
You had some good food?
2 times. 2 times food. We did have some good food.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man.
We had some good food.
Let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into the local pod you got going on. You did a little rebrand. You got some guests coming in. What's been the feedback you've been seeing from that, and like what's been the impact on the agency?
So Sean, I wanted to do a quick solo and talk about just a project I've been working on with the podcast here locally. I've had a few different journeys with a local podcast. And so, I mean, as you know from the community, if you're listening to this, the community that we built, I think the number one thing I love about podcasts in general is just relatability, and giving people a platform to tell their story. And I think there's a lot of people in the insurance industry that say, "Oh, another insurance podcast," or another fitness podcast, or another community podcast. Geez, how many? But here's the reality, and this is my strong beliefs on, is that everybody has a story and everybody's story deserves to be heard. And so I've had a couple different podcasts locally, some that have just been Facebook Live videos 6 years ago. But I have 2 good friends here in the area that are building out a co-working space. Built it out already, high-tech co-working space. There's not a ton of that in our area. And they wanted to build a podcasting room. And so they kind of brought me in on that to do that. So as we're recording this, we're on week 2 of the rebrand. I did 50T5, which we did about 45 episodes of that, which was all virtual, just like we do here. But this one's going to be in person. It's super cool. And I've already talked to Sean about getting them up here so we can do it out of the podcast studio, because I think that'll provide a different dynamic, which would be fun. But for me, it's just been getting cool people in to tell their story. And so the new rebrand is the Make an Impact podcast. It's a core value in our business. Frankly, it's a core value in my life. I was just making an impact and leaving a legacy. And I think everybody has their own definition of making an impact in their lives. And so giving people the platform to do that. So thankfully, we have pre-recorded almost 12 episodes, and we're only at week 2, which is good. So we're pre-recorded, but we've had a school superintendent so far, CEOs, startup businesses, parents, whatever it is, just telling their stories. And so it's broad because it's kind of a community podcast, but it's hopefully we'll grow more to that. But from my standpoint too, it can get me in front of people I want to get in front of. And I've had a lot of relationships built. A lot of my biggest clients come from either being on my podcast, listening to the podcast. We're filming this on a Wednesday. This is a true story. I would never lie. On Monday, I was in a golf tournament, and someone that I've never met before came up to me and just said, "Hey, can I get on that podcast?" And I was like, "Huh?" And we were only like two weeks into putting it out, but we've put out the other ones in the past. So I think it's powerful, and I think everybody should at least give it a try, which is why we wanted to talk about this, because in your local community, I just feel it can position you as the local community business leader. And who are we serving? The local community. Whether you're commercial, personal, life, health, whatever, you're serving the local community. So it's been a cool project because this one specifically we built out from scratch. It was an extra office space they had, so we built out the whole thing.
Yeah.
And being a part of that has been super cool, but the end result and the end product has been really exciting.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, kudos to you from going the virtual route to in person, because I think, when I think of the virtual podcasting for what you're trying to accomplish, I do feel like that in-person atmosphere is just going to be a game changer, especially for the virtual, potentially bringing on new clients, right? And the way I look at the podcasting you're doing, and I was like thinking about this before our call today, is like, it's almost like local podcasting is like the modern day cold call, but without like the awkwardness, right? And basically the local podcast, and you touched on it briefly, is like, it gives you a reason to reach out to literally anyone in your community without having to like awkwardly pitch them or cold call them. So whether it's like a business owner, an influencer, referral partners, right? Like I know you have a ton of referral partners with like lenders and agents. Suddenly you're not going into that call like just cold or just trying to sell them insurance. You're like shining a spotlight on them, and that opens way more doors than like a random cold DM. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I love that idea.
Everybody loves talking about themselves, and business owners love talking about their business.
Yeah.
Especially if they're in any phase of their built an incredible business or they're in the middle of building it. And I think you bring up you nailed it on the head. Like, if I can be, and obviously this is a personal mission for me of the make an impact and to shine a light on people and allow people to tell their stories. But like, we had a therapist, and she was a school counselor, and she just started her own private practice for therapy and mental health and all that. And we were just talking, and I could see the emotion in her where she stopped and said, I never really shared why I do what I do, but I'm about to. And she shared why she did what she did. And there was one person in her life who told her that she would never be anybody, and like that. And here's the thing. One, she's a client of mine already. Okay. But maybe she'd be a client. Maybe she would refer people, but you're giving them the platform, and then you spotlight them for that week, and they're a superstar on your platform for that week, and they're never going to forget you. Or a listener learns about that therapist and goes and sees that therapist, and that therapist changed their life. They're never going to forget about the host of the show. They're never going to forget about the show of who introduced them. Right. Sure. And so I talk about all the time with the networking and everything I do. One of my goals is like, people like with all the networking, like, what do you want out of it? It's like to be the connector of people. Do you know a home inspector? Yeah, I know a home inspector. Do you know a positive, like whatever, like, and to be able to connect those people, because they always will align the dots to back to where it came from.
Sure.
And I think the podcasting and storytelling allows people to do that, and allows other people aka the listener, to relate more with the person that's telling their story or their journey.
Yeah, T5, what do you think about, I know it might be kind of hard to estimate. I know you can track it in your CRM, so I don't really know if you're doing it or not. I'm just curious, like you did 45 episodes of 5 with T5 and you've done a couple under the new brand. Have you seen any, like, have you gotten any business from it directly? Like someone came on, they weren't a client, and then they were like, "Hey, how do I do business with you?" You know?
Correct. Yeah. Everybody? Absolutely not. A good majority of people that have a conversation, or, I think of a lot of people that maybe haven't been clients yet, but Aunt Sally got into an insurance situation she doesn't know how to get out of, and they refer her, right? And then they become, referral partners, not referral partners, but referees in that way of you become. The challenge that I'm doing now with this rebrand is it's not tied to the business, but I can still be hopefully the local podcaster who has the insurance agency, and it'll all tie back.
At the end of the day, you're Stephen Turnbull is the brand, not T5 technically, in my point of view.
Right. And I think there's so many different ways to do it. So many, just like we talk about with an insurance agency. That if you want to go after a niche, start a podcast about your niche and interview those people. And we've heard that. Other people have talked about that. If you want to go after trucking, start a trucking podcast. We've heard that. But being intentional of like what type of, like, we're personal lines heavy, so the community people are great, but we also have been doing a lot more commercial. So the business owners are who we want to get in front of. And to your exact point, I think of this, there's an HVAC company that has 112 employees or something. If I called up and was like, "Hey, can I sit down with the CEO?" Blah blah blah. It probably would never go anywhere. But instead, I had a relationship. Oh, by the way, from somebody that I interviewed, that introduced me to her, and I asked, "Can you introduce me to this person so I can interview them?" She'd never been on a podcast before, so she was so excited about it, invited me to her office before we did the podcast so we could get to know each other better, and then had a great conversation. Now, has she become a client? Not yet.
But she has an insurance
I see her at the community events.
In the future.
Correct. I see her at the community events, and we know each other, and it's just another added network that who knows where it'll take you. And that's the other thing is plan it out. There's so much power. I've gotten the best guests or the best conversations have come from, and we do this with ours, the people that you talk to. Hey, who do you think would be a great guest on this, and can you introduce me to them?
Yeah.
One other point I want to add, because I know we're going to keep this short, is don't get, it's kind of like a trash agency. Like, don't get caught up in like all the fancy, expensive stuff that you need. Like, my situation is unique because we have the in-person studio, because I'm actively one of the partners in creating the studio. But 6 years ago, I started a Facebook Live podcast. It was not on any podcasting platforms. It didn't have a YouTube channel. We had a Facebook page that we went live on every Monday at noon. Had a conversation with somebody over Zoom that we connected to Facebook Live. And that in 6 months gained 900 followers, I believe it was, before it died off. And I stopped that one when I transitioned to starting T5 because I was too busy starting the business. So start with that. Where can you house the platforms? It'll cost no money, maybe a Zoom subscription and a Facebook page and a little bit of your effort to start the Facebook page, and start with that. And there's so many different verticals you could take it, but I just think it's worth everybody giving it a try.
Yeah, I really like the in-person touch too. And I think from a tech standpoint, like, technology has gotten so good nowadays. Like, I don't know if you guys are watching this on YouTube or not. You can literally buy one of these lapel mics. Everybody it right to your iPhone and just use your iPhone camera. And there you go. There's your camera and professional grade mics for $200. You know what I mean? So I think from that aspect, it's cool. Whether you use Riverside and just do it virtually, it's super inexpensive. So, yeah, you don't have to get any fancy tech. I'm with you 100% on that. Where do you think, because now you've been through the process with 5 with T5, and I would call it, you've gone pro. You got the studio, you got the official cameras and mics and everything. For somebody just starting out outside the tech, like, what would you recommend them do? Like, even to get guests on the pod, just to line up guests? Would you do it all at once? Would you batch record? Like touch on that before we wrap this
Well,
up.
yeah, first off, I would correct you because I have not gone pro. I'm just trying to figure this thing out. So, but thank you for that. I honestly, I would say start simple with like a Facebook page or a YouTube page and just going live and having virtual recording. It's not going to cost you anything but your time and a Zoom subscription, maybe.
Gotcha.
And see how that traction does, or see if there's a local podcast studio in your area that you can rent. I mean, all depending. I mean, we're talking to scratch agencies, right? So all depending on your budget and whatever you can pull off. But I would batch record. Like I said, we didn't release it until July 9th with the rebrand until we had 10 episodes back recorded. So I would definitely do that. But I think just like, who are the people you can help and how can you get in front of them? And if it's business owners, ask them to come on and talk about their business. If it's community people, ask them to come and talk about community events. If it's if you're only personal lines, make it a community podcast where you highlight the event that's coming up next week. You can do that very easily on a Facebook Live because it's live. It's happening right then and there. You don't have to edit it. You don't have to download it. You don't have to pay for an editor. You can clip it up with the AI technology yourself. I still go back to that one on the Facebook one we did. Like, I was shocked at the traction we did. I co-hosted it with a local realtor. That's the other thing. Look for a co-host. If you want to tap into somebody else that has another network that is in your area that works with similar people, or a friend of yours or whatever, start it on like Facebook Live, YouTube Live, whatever it is. Stick to one platform, stick to one thing. And if it snowballs from there, then you can look into a studio, then you can look at going on Apple and all that. But I was shocked at the traction that we got when we did the first one like 6-7 years ago. It was called Small Business Big Future. And it was just a Facebook page, and we just did Zoom calls every Monday at noon.
That's awesome.
And it got to a point where people knew it would be Monday at noon, and you can see who's on live, and you see it's the same people. Now, on the other side of the coin, if you got money and you're interested in it and you've been thinking about it, go all in. I think it's just depending on your situation.
For sure.
But I would just, and I'll never forget, Sean, when we were in New York City with Doug Ben's event, and Scott Howell came up to us, and we were probably 15 episodes in at the time. And he just said, don't stop till episode 50. I think there's no truth.
No, he was like, don't look at the numbers or anything until 50 and then reevaluate.
Yeah. But I think I find myself doing this all the time. So, listen to my own advice type deal. But if you look at it and like, oh, you only got 100 views, only got 50 views. Well, that would if you had the opportunity to go talk to 100 people one night for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, would you do it? I think most people, the answer is yes.
Especially if 90% of those people are local in your community. Like, that's a big deal. So,
and I think it's kind of hard to give advice on it, and I know that I'm not doing that. We're just kind of talking about my situation, but your communities too are so different. Like, everybody's communities are different. What would work well? What does your town do? Like, do you have different events? Like, there's like partner with the chamber. Look at that. Partner with the chamber about doing something together with them, bringing them in as a co-host. I think there's many different verticals you can look at it. At the end of the day, I just believe that storytelling is very, very powerful. I believe it positions you as a connector of people, which is what we are and what we do. We build relationships and we help people. And it's a win-win. And last point I was trying to make. You can get content from it.
I feel like that's one of the biggest pieces. Like, you have that big piece of pillar content, right? Where it's like you're recording long form video that you can take a bunch of little clips from. That's going to feed your content machine. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest reasons to do it if you don't have one,
Yep.
That's it, man. Keep doing your thing. That's awesome. You're gonna land some big fish from it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, the cool part about it is, like, we have a team set up now. So there's an editor, there's an engineer, and that's all through like just the right. But hey, here's the thing to point back to community networking. Like, it was the right people that I knew that were trying to do this thing that brought me in, and just came from the relationships. Like, it all goes back to the relationships, no matter what type of agency you're building or what you're going after. It all comes back to the relationships. And so that's been the most exciting thing about this one is like, there's the team set, everyone kind of knows their role, and it's kind of more official. So we'll see. I'm excited about it.
Cool. Keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing, man.
What else?
That's it. That's it. Let's wrap it up, and then we'll hop on to the next one.
All right, everybody. Hey, listen, we appreciate everybody. You were, I'm not sure when this is coming out. I think this is coming out soon, but we got our DC meetup, and we got to touch on that real quick because we're one person away from selling out, I think, or we have, I don't know, we're at the 20 mark. We were capping it at 20. We're either at 19 or 20, but super, super, super excited to do this. We've got to give a huge shout out to Mike Cruz and Ciara, who have been partnering with us to make this happen. And that's Scratch Agency Mastermind meetup that's in DC, and just I can't wait to see the content that comes out of it, the conversations, and more important, the relationships, which has been what we've been talking about. So appreciate all of everybody's support and sticking with us. If you have not joined us, if this is the first time you may be listening, make sure to check out the community. Go to Telegram, Scratch Agency Mastermind. Nope, ScratchAgencyPodcast.com. Join the community. It's a free Telegram community. Man, we've got some cool new people in there, Sean.
We do. There's almost 90 people in there now.
Yeah, we've got some great conversations.
Oh yeah,
great conversations going on. I almost have to like block out time at the end of the day to catch up because it's just buzzing all day long, and I'm like, I see it pop up on my notification, and I'm like, oh, I can't open that because I got to read that. I got to read what they're talking about, but I got to go back to it. So make sure to check us out there. Appreciate everyone following along the journey. Appreciate everyone's support. That's another episode of the Scratch Agency Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, like the show and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube, all the good platforms. But most importantly, remember to dig down deep, believe in yourself, and own your own future. We'll see you next week. Take care.